CitizenNewscaster.com.
The November 2008 elections are past, but they should not be forgotten. Decisions were made in the elections that affect the rarest halls of decision-making to the most common of city streets. Now, with Democratic candidates having won the White House and having made gains in both houses of Congress, the United States of America has made a definite turn down an alternate corner in history. But there were many decisions made on the state and local levels as well. Today, CitizenNewscaster.com addresses public reaction to one of these decisions, that having to do with the passage of Proposition 8. Stay with us now as CitizenNewscaster.com presents the following local newsreel.
In California, the Constitution in our state protects the rights of everyone, including those with different sexual orientation than the majority. That Constitution protects the minority from the tyranny of the majority, and that's what happened here, and it's wrong. Our courts need to change that. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed attorney, and what I'm confused about is how we can make an unconstitutional amendment to our Constitution. And I think that's why we have the justice system. It isn't that the justices are activists. They're the third branch of our government that gives us protections and give us a balance. So that's what we have to determine is it constitutional? In my opinion, it's not. It's about civil rights. It's about justice.
Basic human rights.
Social justice for everyone. And it doesn't. The majority should not be able to take away rights from the minorities because of bias and prejudice.
Can I ask you why you're out here today?
Fighting for our rights.
Okay. And could you explain to me what those rights are?
So that we can be married and equal rights and have the same as everybody else.
Just equality.
Yep,
that's all.
Exactly. Equality.
Okay. And so what do you think about the recent election? Do you have any observations about the outcome of Proposition 8?
That was disappointing. I think we expected it to easily be defeated, and we weren't prepared for it to be passed. So now we have to rally and get people involved and educate people. And the next time it's up for a vote, I think we'll get it passed.
We'll win.
Been together over 25 years, and we did get married at our first opportunity in San Francisco when there was that window.
2004.
Yeah. And then, of course, that got overthrown, and then the Supreme Court said it was okay. So we're really waiting for this vote before we decided to get married again. So it will be legal. We want it to be legal. We want the same legal rights as far as taxes, owning a home, combining our incomes, hospital visitations, all of those things, are important. if the hang-up is the word marriage, and they can offer a different word, if civil unions would have all exactly the same rights,
Right.
I think everybody
Would be okay with that.
would be okay.
But we
Really.
don't have the same rights under civil unions.
Right, right.
Thank you all for coming out. This is a great turnout on a great day for a very, very important cause. We're gathered here in front of Colton Hall. This is a perfect location for the topic we are here to talk about, the Constitution. The California Constitution was signed right here. This is a historic ground. And in our California Constitution that was debated and signed in both English and Spanish, we were granted inalienable rights, including life and liberty and privacy. We were also granted equal protection. It wasn't one of the amendments to the California Constitution. It was in there from the start. California has been a leader in rights for all people, marriage rights included. California was the first state in the United States in 1948 to prohibit the ban on interracial marriage. It wasn't until 1968 that the U.S. Constitution was interpreted to ban the prohibitions on interracial marriage. This is a long, long struggle. And I am here to tell you that the lawsuit that has been filed on November 5th, the morning of the 5th, challenges Proposition 8 as unlawfully revising the California Constitution. The California Constitution provides for equal protection for all people. The California Supreme Court has said that includes gay and lesbian people, and that includes the fundamental right to marry for all people. This lawsuit is based on the California Constitution itself, which allows amendment of the Constitution by initiative, which is what Proposition 8 was. It does not allow revision of the Constitution by initiative. A revision of the Constitution, which is what this is, a revision that takes away rights, a revision that prohibits the court from interpreting its own Constitution, that in itself is unconstitutional. That requires 2/3 vote of the legislature, or a constitutional convention and 2/3 vote of the convention, and ratification by the people after that. That did not happen with Proposition 8. In order to revise the Constitution, that's what needs to happen, and I believe that in California that would never happen.
Yeah.
So what can we do now? We're doing it. We're out here. We're showing the California Supreme Court, we're showing the government, and we're showing our community that we care about these issues. We care about equal rights. And what can we do? We can stand together. We will not blame. People who voted yes on Proposition 8 voted not only out of intolerance or bigotry or hatred, they voted out of ignorance. It's up to us to change that. It is up to us to talk to people, to let them know what the real issues are, to stand up for freedom of religion, true freedom of religion, where each church can decide whether or not and who can marry. We need to stand up for a government that doesn't tell us who we can love and who we can live with and who we can make commitments to. We are doing that. We are standing up, and we will never stop until we win. Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like now to welcome our elected representative to the Assembly, Bill Monning.
You know, as Mickey mentioned,
Colton Hall is where we held the first constitutional convention in the history of the state. The founding, the establishment of the state of California took place after deliberations here 1848, 1849. And Mickey referred to the building of that Constitution, the incorporation of equal rights and the protection of equal rights. There was also a debate here about whether California would be a slave state or a free state. And that was it was a divisive debate. There were those who argued that California should be a slave state. There was pressure as to whether the federal government would accept the statehood of California if it didn't establish itself as a slave state. And as we know, we were established and our Constitution was established bilingually, establishing California as not a slave state. So we have the blueprint, we just need to look at the other areas of ignorance and indentured servitude that need to be eliminated, and the full rights and the full equal rights of all residents of the state of California to be respected, honored, and upheld as part of the rule of law of this state. This issue is fundamentally a civil rights and a human rights issue and a rule of law issue. And as such, any of us who have been involved in the struggle to protect and advance civil rights in this country and around the world know that the process of a civil rights struggle is just that. It is a process and a struggle. And as sure as we are standing here today, the state of California will come to uphold and recognize the rights of same-sex couples to marry, as our Supreme Court has already held. So I believe, as much as we are disappointed by the passage of Prop 8, as activists, as people who respect the civil rights and the human rights of all, we need to see the space where we are now, post-passage of Prop 8, as a reminder that the struggle continues and that we have different choices of how we continue to engage in this struggle. And Mickey touched on this, and I just want to reinforce it. We can seek to affix blame for those who we think are standing between us and the enjoyment of full civil liberties in this state. Or we can see this as a challenge and an opportunity to reach out, to extend the circle of love that is gathered here today, and to keep extending that circle to all residents of this state, to all inhabitants of this fragile planet. And if we approach this struggle as that opportunity to extend the circle of love, we can draw from it, grow from it every day of the struggle. We should not be driven down by this one-day vote. We should be inspired to reach out, to build the circles, and continue to grow as communities, as a state, as a nation, and as a unified planet. So if we take that view of this struggle, we will realize the full recognition of the rights of gays and lesbians to marry and to have that marriage recognized by the state. That will come soon in terms of the historical stretch. The struggle to surround ignorance with love, that will be a lifetime undertaking. So I'm here to pledge my commitment to that as part of our community, but also as somebody entering the state assembly, to hold that pledge to you, to stand up at every vote, at every moment, to protect fundamental civil rights, fundamental human rights, and to expand the circle of love that you bring here today. Thank you very much.
Very actively involved in the No on Proposition 8 campaign. And here to speak briefly to us on behalf of the clergy is the Rev Jeff Cohen from St. James Episcopal Church in Monterey.
When I was watching the advertising for Yes on 8, they emphasized family values. And one of the reasons I became so involved in opposing 8 is that same reason. The extension of marriage to all people is a family value that is essential for the ordered and moral life of our society, and I see no reason why anyone would oppose this equality for all. I also saw people quoting their religious convictions with some intensity around this issue. And that as well was my own reason for becoming involved in No on 8. My faith is an inclusive faith. I follow one who included people who had been rejected in their societies, and I think this is a perfect modern example of extending inclusive love in our time. I was disturbed with the vote that, with so much emphasis on religious dogma and biblical quotation, that the particular viewpoints of particular denominations were seen fit to be written into the Constitution of the State of California. I find that to be a violation of the separation of church and state. And no matter what anyone thinks, in the end, when we permit that sort of violation, it's going to be the churches that lose and not the state. But I also want to encourage you to think in the next days, weeks, and months about your response. Both Bill and Mickey have emphasized that we need to channel our disappointment and anger in constructive rather than destructive ways. To blame particular people or particular groups for the passage of Proposition 8 may be natural, but it's not the way to get to where we want to go. We need not just to oppose in the courts or oppose in debates, but we really need to transform the hearts and minds and souls of those who in fact voted yes on this issue. And that will only be done by inclusion and understanding and love. We know the joy of and transformation that openness and inclusivity and honest living brings with it. And we need to carry that message to those who are closed in their prejudices and closed in narrow-mindedness, to not help us only, but to liberate them as well. And that will be a long path, but one that will be most rewarding. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is the president of the Monterey County branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, William Ziegler. The NAACP opposed Proposition 8 from the beginning. The divisive messages that we have been getting through the media are simply not true. And here we have William Ziegler to address you.
I want to thank you guys for showing up. This is a crowd, so you need to give yourself a round of applause. One thing I want to say from the very beginning, the NAACP was always in opposition to Proposition 8, because they believe it was a civil liberties, regardless of what you have heard, saying that it's not a civil rights issue. It is. Okay? I also want to say that Julian Bond, who is the chairman of the national organization, was out in front way before he got onto the ballot initiative. You're going to win this. You're going to win. It's just a struggle. It's just a bump in the road. And I think everybody's right about not really taking it out on the opposition. I found out in my own experiences that when you really talk to people who were super religious and you told them about the issue was not about your religion, because we're not trying to stop you to believe in whatever you believe in. We just want you to believe in what we believe in. And it's that simple. I want to thank you guys for all showing up, and it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Now, for those of you who didn't hear the news, the NAACP and MALDEF, the Mexican American Legal and Education Defense Fund, have filed their own lawsuit. Now we have a few words from candidate Dan Presser for the airport board. He's not on the airport board, but someday he will get there.
Hi, everybody. For those of you who voted for me, I want to thank you very much. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because when I was a kid growing up in Houston, Texas, I can still remember when my mother took me to Sears Roebuck and I saw water fountains. One said white and the other one said color. This is for real. This is the way it was back then. Many of you are too young to remember this. And then we tried an experiment in America called separate but equal. Did it work? No, it did not work. We cannot have separate but equal in the United States. We cannot have separate but equal in California. Separate but equal, does it work? No. That's all I have to say. We gotta get this. We gotta put it down. Separate but equal will not work.
Ryan Hundley, who's been kindly holding the mic for everybody else, will now say a few words. He is a member of not only the ACLU Monterey County Chapter Board, but the Young Democrats.
I've got hope because we're all here today. I've got hope because there's over 300 rallies like this, not just in California, but in every state of the United States of America. It is international. There are rallies right now in Canada, in the United Kingdom, in France, in Japan. The world is going to hear us because people like us come out and care. I'm proud also, especially being a young person, of seeing so many young faces. I was at the rallies in San Francisco and Sacramento last weekend. I can't tell you how many people I saw in their teens and their 20s. I'm proud that the young people that cared of this cause got online and organized these very rallies that we're attending today through social networking sites, through the internet, any good old-fashioned text messaging. But I'm most proud of the fact that 18 to 24-year-olds voted against Proposition 8 to the tune of 64%. For those keeping score at home, that makes young people the most tolerant and most vehement defenders of equal rights. But you know what? We got to take the energy that we've got out here, that we've had since the election, last couple of weeks, and we got to keep it going, because this is not the end. This isn't the start, this is the middle, and we've got to keep going, guys. So we need to move forward positively, we need to stay organized, we need to stay united. If we can do that, if we can do those things, we're going to help love conquer hate. And I guarantee you two things if we do that. Yes, we can, and yes, we most certainly will.
Equal rights! Now! Equal rights! Now! Equal rights! Now!
I think that if you're born in this country, you're an American citizen, you should have the equal rights that everyone else does. So like you should be singled out for being gay.
Gay, straight, black, white. Marriage is a civil right. Gay, straight, black, white. Marriage is a civil right. Gay, straight, black, white. Marriage is a civil right.
I'm a gay man, and to take away my right to marry and to treat me different is not fair. It's wrong.
Equal rights. Equal rights! When do we want them now?
I want civil rights. I don't want just the word marriage. I want civil rights. That's how it should be. We're not getting our civil rights.
Gay, straight, black, white. Marriage is a civil right. Gay, straight, black, white. Marriage is a civil right.
There was a local pastor that sold bumper stickers, yes on 8 bumper stickers for $10 a piece in his church. So if that doesn't say that there's not a separation between church and state, I don't know what does.
Equal rights! Now! What do we want? Equal rights! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Equal rights! When do we want it? Now!
This fight is about the Constitution. It's not about the Bible. There are people that don't believe in the traditional God at all. There are people that believe in Middle Eastern religions, and their rights shouldn't be taken away by somebody else's belief of God. I happen to believe in God, but I believe in a forgiving and loving God, and I don't believe I'm going to hell, and I don't believe that I'm going against something horrible. I believe that God loves people and wants people to love each other.
Going to the chapel and we're going to get married. Going to the chapel and we're going to get married. Gee, I really love you and we're going to get married. Going to the chapel of love.
This Proposition 8 is just awful, and we want to stand up and say, no, you can't take our civil liberties away with a simple majority. We love each other, it's all about love, and we want to be able to celebrate and be a family forever.
And Nana here has helped raise Cassidy since she was born.
I lived my entire life until for a little bit beforehand, knowing that it was probably never going to be allowed for for my moms to get married. And then when it did, I had so much fun watching them get married and watching them thrive. But then,
cried a lot.
And then it just went down the drain. It just disappeared. All those rights that we had.
I came from the era when we had to be in bars with lights that came on when it was a signal the police were arriving, and we had to dance with opposite sex so we wouldn't get arrested. That's going back a ways.
So what's the situation now?
I don't dance.
Is a production of CitizenNewscaster.com.